everybody, welcome to DDC Studios. I'm Dave Hayner, owner and publisher of DDC Studios, and we're going to kind of continue our theme week this week, if you will, in anticipation to the release of the domain number 1. And today's topic is checking out the pros and cons between doing black and white comics versus color comics, and which maybe would work the best for you, or should it possibly be a hybrid? Now, here at DDC Studios, we basically produce about every type of mini comic you can think of, as far as going either black or white, and also color. Our Dillard series is a full black and white comic book with a black and white cover as well as interiors. Some of our 8-page quarter-sized mini comics, a lot of those are black and white comics printed on like color cardstock, but we will also do some black and white comics with color covers as well. And then our half-sized mini comics, once again, it's kind of a mismatch for those as well. We'll release comics total black and white, including cover comics, using like colored cardstock for the covers, or full-on color covers with black and white interiors. And we have released a couple of full color comic books, colored both covers and interiors. So as you can tell, you know, we've got some experience printing all of the various types of mini comics we're going to be discussing today. Now, for obvious reasons, the full black and white mini comics are going to be the most affordable to print, especially if you print your comics like we do here at the studios, because we print all of our comics right here in the studios as well. So we're talking basically printer ink, and as anyone knows who's tried to buy printer ink the past couple of months can attest, it's one, not only, you know, isn't cheap, but it's actually somewhat hard to find, just thanks to what's been going on in the world this past, well, over almost a year and a half now. One of the things that did not get imported nearly as much as what we would hope, especially if we're printing our own comics, is printer ink. But with that said, printing everything in black and white definitely is far cheaper that way, because obviously black ink cartridges cost less money. But if you're also going like with the photocopy route for your mini comics, once again, that's going to be cheaper, because obviously black and white copies cost way less than color copies do. One interesting, I guess you call it cheat, when it comes to doing black and white mini comics is something that we do quite often, and that's using colored paper or cardstock. We always use cardstock covers for our books, but that colored cardstock to print your cover on. So it's kind of a nice way to give that cover artwork just that little extra pop of color, to kind of help make it a little more noticeable when it's sitting on the shelf or the convention table, or just straight up listed on your online store. Another route that you can take, and one we use quite regularly as well, is sticking with the black and white interior artwork, but printing the covers in color. Once again, you know, you're getting that nice pop of color right on the cover, makes it a little more noticeable, but you're not having to drop a ton of cash on doing colors for the interiors. It's just going to be the cover. That's kind of quickly becoming my preferred way of doing mini comics, is doing a full color cover with black and white interiors. Yeah, they're just a touch more expensive to make than the previous example I gave, but really it's well worth it. It's just kind of nice, you know, wrapping that present of your interior artwork in really nice wrapping paper, if you will. Then, you know, we also would be remiss if I didn't talk about full-on, full-color comic books. These are not cheap to make. We have made a couple of them. They did sell real well, but I'll be honest with you, I was very nervous about selling them just because of the price point that we have to set them at, just to be able to afford to make them, to be perfectly honest with you. But obviously, being able to do not only color covers but also full color interiors, it brings it one step closer to what you call a typical comic book, which will attract more potential customers. In theory, now it could attract more customers, but quite frankly, my experience has been your average mini comic reader or person that would be interested in purchasing mini comics, really actually it makes no difference to them whether the interior's a color or in black and white. As long as the story is good and they dig the artwork, they're quite frankly, they're not picky. So really what it boils down to is what will service your interior artwork the most. Will it be some shading effects like zip-a-tone, some extra cross-hatching, what have you, and doing black and white interiors, or would your artwork benefit from being colored? That's kind of the back and forth you'll need to kind of do with yourself and come to your conclusion as to what's going to work best for you. Now, my advice to someone just getting started with mini comics, though, is to definitely stick in the black and white realm, especially if you're doing like the one sheet micro comics that we like to call them, like we do for Dillard. You're better served just going ahead and sticking with black and white. Keep things nice and simple. Because especially when you're starting out, you're not going to want to overwhelm yourself with having to figure out how to either color the artwork by hand, analog style, or digital coloring. It's a lot better just sticking with the black and white artwork. This is just, my personal feelings on the matter. If you're totally comfortable kind of jumping into the deep end with your very first mini comic and doing like digital coloring, at least on the cover, stuff like that, hey, go for it. Totally cool. But you do really need to kind of sit down and do the math when it comes to looking at the pros and cons of either doing color comics or black and white comics. Because once again, you're going to want to keep the prices of your mini comics affordable. And if you're looking at like doing mini comics as a giveaway, then you're also really going to want to be cognizant of how much each comic itself is going to cost you to print then. Because the whole thing about mini comics that really draws a lot of people is their affordability. They're affordable products that are also handmade. It's kind of the best of both worlds. So, like I said, really, it's going to boil down to two things. It's going to boil down to your comfortability level as far as whether you want to even attempt to do colors on your comics, and also the affordability of them as well. Because you're not going to want to sell your comics more than, say, like an Uncanny X-Men #1, for instance. But I think that's going to do it for today's video. As always, please be sure to like the video, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. You can also check out our links down below in the description. We've got a link to our online DDC Studios web store where you can pick up every single mini comic currently in production by DDC Studios, along with some some original artwork and commissioned artwork as well. You can also hit that link to the DDC Studios t-shirt store, where you can get right now your very own official DDC Studios t-shirt, your choice of black or white. We also got, like I said in our previous video, a couple of really cool domain t-shirts getting ready to hit this coming weekend as well. And also, please feel free to share this video on various social media platforms. Like always, we really appreciate all of you guys when you kind of spread the love and spread the word for our humble little YouTube channel. So that's going to do it for today, but we will have another video coming out here in just a couple of days. So thanks a lot for listening, and bye.